All right, let's dive into one of history's most consequential family dramas. This is a story of intense love, a 7-year wait, a shocking deception, and a bitter rivalry between two sisters that would, somehow, lay the foundation for an entire nation.
Everything, and I mean everything, kicks off with this line right here. This isn't just a crush. Jacob is so completely in love with Rachel that 7 years of hard labor feel like nothing, like just a few days. This incredible love is the engine for the whole story, and it's what makes what happens next so unbelievably tragic. So, Jacob's got all this motivation, and he decides to make a deal with Rachel's father, his uncle Laban. But here's the thing, Jacob knows exactly who he's dealing with. He knows this guy is shady.
So Jacob lays out his terms, and listen to how precise he is. He doesn't just say, "I'll work for Rachel." No, he specifies the time, 7 years, and the exact person, your younger daughter Rachel. It sounds like a business deal, but believe me, every single word was chosen for a reason.
And that's the big question, right? Why all the fine print? Why get so granular? Well, it's because Jacob had this sinking feeling that he couldn't trust his uncle as far as he could throw him.
This is where the commentary from Rashi, a brilliant medieval scholar, really opens things up. Rashi points out that Jacob was trying to build this verbal, ironclad contract. He says for Rachel, so Laban can't just find some other woman named Rachel off the street. He says your daughter to make sure it's Laban's actual kid. And the real kicker, he says the younger, specifically to prevent the exact switch he's afraid of, a switch with her older sister Leah. Jacob knew Laban was a deceiver, and he tried to block every possible loophole, but it wasn't enough.
And this, my friends, brings us to the most dramatic plot twist of the entire story. The 7 years are up, Jacob has done the work, and it is finally time for the wedding.
Just picture the scene. 7 long years of work are finally over. The whole town is celebrating at this huge wedding feast. As night falls, a bride, totally hidden behind a veil, is brought to Jacob. He thinks his dream has finally come true. He goes into the tent with the woman he's waited all this time for. But then, the sun comes up.
The text just drops this bombshell with brutal simplicity. When morning came, there was Leah. And just like that, the deception is complete. The woman he's just married is not his beloved Rachel. It's her older sister. Okay, wait a minute. The logical question you're probably asking right now is, how? In the dark, how could he possibly not know it wasn't Rachel? The text itself doesn't say, but the commentaries give us an answer that completely flips the script on how we see this story.
And this, right here, is the hidden emotional heart of the whole story. According to Rashi, Jacob and Rachel, knowing Laban might try something, had actually set up secret signs between them. But when Rachel saw her father was about to send Leah in her place, she just couldn't stand the thought of her sister's public shame. So in this incredible act of sacrifice, Rachel gives the secret signs to Leah. This wasn't just a father's deception, it was a sister's profound act of empathy that made it possible.
So you can just imagine the next morning. Jacob is heartbroken, he's furious, and now he's married to the wrong woman. And the price for his love for Rachel is about to skyrocket. The first thing he does is confront Laban, who gives him this flimsy excuse about, "Oh, it's not our custom to marry off the younger daughter first." Yeah, right. Then Laban lays out the new deal. Finish the 7-day wedding party with Leah, and then he can marry Rachel too. The catch? Another 7 years of labor. Jacob is trapped, and he's still so desperately in love, so he agrees. So that's 14 years in total. 14. And get this, Rashi adds this really powerful detail. Even after being so royally cheated, Jacob worked that second set of 7 years with the exact same integrity and faithfulness as the first. His character didn't waver.
So now Jacob has the wife he always wanted, Rachel, and the wife he never asked for, Leah. And this sets the stage for one of the most heartbreaking and intense rivalries you'll ever read about.
You know, both sisters are trapped in their own personal hell. The text makes it clear that Jacob loved Rachel more, and Leah feels that sting every single day. Her whole life becomes this desperate plea for her husband's love. Meanwhile, Rachel, the beloved wife, is barren. She is suffering her own kind of agony, this constant emptiness that makes her cry out in desperation.
And to really get just how desperate Rachel feels, you have to understand what it meant to be childless back then. Rashi explains that in the ancient world, it was like being erased from the future, no legacy. It was considered a kind of living death. So when she cries, "Give me children or I shall die," that's not melodrama. That's her deepest existential fear speaking.
This double tragedy, one sister unloved, the other barren, just lights a fire, and the competition is on.
But the prize is no longer just Jacob's affection. Now, it's about having sons. It's a battle for legacy, for validation, for a sense of worth.
And you can literally trace this whole emotional roller coaster just by looking at the names Leah gives her sons. Her first is Reuben, and she says, "Now my husband will love me." With Simeon, it's because God heard she was unloved. With Levi, she's hoping her husband will finally get attached to her. I mean, each name is a cry from her heart. It's only with her fourth son, Judah, that she seems to finally find some peace, turning from seeking her husband's love to just praising God. It's a powerful moment.
But then, Rashi adds this whole other dimension which is fascinating. He suggests that the matriarchs were actually prophetesses. They knew that Jacob was destined to have 12 sons, the future 12 tribes of Israel, from 4 women. So from that perspective, when Leah has her fourth son, she thinks, okay, I've now borne my fair share, which totally shifts the dynamic of the rivalry once again.
So Rachel is watching Leah have son after son, and her desperation just boils over. She makes a strategic move. She gives her handmaid, Bilhah, to Jacob to have children on her behalf. Not to be outdone, when Leah stops having kids herself, she counters by giving her own handmaid, Zilpah, to Jacob. The battle for sons now becomes a war by proxy.
And once again, the names tell the whole story. When Bilhah has a son, Rachel names him Dan, which means God has vindicated me. With the second, Naphtali, she's not even subtle about it. She says, "A fateful contest I waged with my sister, and I have prevailed." It's a straight-up declaration of victory. Leah responds with Gad and Asher, names about good fortune, just trying to keep up in this relentless competition.
So what does this all mean? It means that this family, the one destined to become the 12 tribes of Israel, was forged in this absolute fire of complex human emotion. It was built on a foundation of profound love, yeah, but also painful deception, selfless sacrifice, and a rivalry that basically defined these two sisters' lives.
And that leaves us with this huge, incredible question. How can a family with such a messy, painful, deeply flawed beginning become the bedrock of a nation and a faith that would literally change the world? I think it just shows that sometimes greatness can come from the most complicated and imperfect of places. Thanks for tuning in.